The night arrives without effort. It does not knock. It does not rush. It simply settles like a soft shawl placed gently over the shoulders of the world. Somewhere far from the noise of modern hours, in a time when darkness was not something to be escaped, but something to be welcomed, the evening begins to breathe more slowly. The sky deepens into a calm indigo. Stars appear one by one, unhurried, as if they too understand that nothing important happens all at once. Tonight, we are not here to be entertained. We are here to rest, to drift, to listen to a story that does not demand attention but offers companionship. Imagine for a moment that this same night stretches across two very different places. In one, a thick stone room rests quietly behind heavy wooden doors. A single candle burns on a small table, its flame steady and obedient, fed by beeswax that carries the faint, clean scent of honey and linen. Shadows move gently across stone walls that have witnessed centuries of whispered thoughts and unspoken worries. In another place, not far in distance but worlds apart in life, a small earthen home settles into itself. The floor is uneven but familiar. Straw bedding waits patiently for tired bodies. Nearby, the warmth of animals, slow breathing, calm, alive, adds a gentle heat to the room. A fire, now reduced to glowing embers, hums softly like a memory that hasn't quite faded. Two spaces, two lives, one night. Neither space is in a hurry. Neither expects anything extraordinary from the darkness. And yet, as the world grows quieter, something subtle begins to happen. Because night has always been a mirror. When daylight fades, people are left alone with their thoughts. Not the loud ones they perform for the world, but the softer ones that surface only when no one is watching. The questions that do not need answers. The feelings that do not need names. This has always been true. Long before electric light chased shadows away. Long before time was sliced into minutes and notifications, night was the great equalizer. It asked nothing. It offered rest. In the stone room, the candle's glow touches the edges of a heavy bed. Linen sheets are cool at first, then gradually warm. Outside, the wind passes along the castle walls, carrying distant sounds, an owl perhaps, or simply the night settling into its place. In the small earthen home, the air smells faintly of hay and wood smoke. The sounds here are closer, more intimate. A slow chew, a gentle shift of weight, the steady rhythm of shared breathing. Different lives, yes, but the same human body beneath the clothes. The same need for rest. The same quiet curiosity that visits the mind when the day finally lets go. People often imagine the past as loud or harshful of danger and struggle. But they forget how much of life has always been made of stillness, waiting, repeating, sleeping. Most nights in history were not dramatic. They were ordinary. And that ordinariness is where their beauty lives. As you listen now, you might notice your own breath slowing just a little. You don't need to change it. Simply allow it. The body knows how to prepare for rest, especially when it is given permission. If you've ever found yourself awake at night, staring into the dark, you are in good company. Across centuries, across social lines, across stone walls and earthen floors, people have always met themselves in the quiet hours. And that is where this story begins. Before we drift deeper into tonight's gentle journey, remember to subscribe to Tidiu's History for Sleep. Here, you'll always find peaceful stories that soothe the heart and quiet the mind. Where are you listening from tonight? Leave a comment. Your presence adds warmth to this quiet corner of the night. Now, let the candle burn low. Let the embers soften. There is no need to stay alert. In this time long ago, there were no clocks glowing beside the bed. No screens offering endless distraction. Sleep came in waves, not commands. People rested when their bodies asked for it, and woke when the night gently loosened its hold. This was a world measured by seasons, not seconds. A world where life moved slowly enough for thoughts to stretch out and wander without urgency. In the stone room, the walls hold warmth gathered during the day. They release it gradually now, like a long exhale. In the earthen home, the ground itself offers steady, grounding calm. Nothing here is smooth or polished, but everything is known. Familiarity has its own kind of comfort. And as the night deepens, curiosity stirs, not sharp or demanding, but soft. The kind that does not need to be solved. The kind that exists simply because the mind is awake while the world sleeps. People in the past did not fear these moments. They did not label them as problems. Waking in the night was not a failure, it was simply part of the rhythm. A pause between one rest and the next. If you have ever awakened in the quiet hours and wondered why sleep slipped away, know this. For most of human history, that space belonged there. It was normal. It was expected. It was gentle. Tonight, we will follow that softness. We will move slowly without pressure. We will let history unfold like a long, quiet breath. For now, allow yourself to rest in this opening moment, under a sky that has watched over every generation before you. Nothing needs to happen yet. The story will continue just as the night does, calmly, patiently, and at its own pace. The night continues to deepen, but it does not close in. It expands instead, stretching gently across the land like a wide, quiet sea. In this older world, darkness is not something to be feared, but something that allows life to soften its grip. Inside the stone room, the candle burns a little lower now. Its light no longer reaches the corners, leaving parts of the chamber in calm shadow, where nothing is expected and nothing needs to be seen. In the earthen home, the embers settle into a steady glow. The warmth is not dramatic, but it is dependable, and that is enough. Dependability, after all, has always been one of humanity's greatest comforts. Sleep, in this time, does not arrive as a single, uninterrupted descent. It comes in stages, like a tide that pulls back before returning again. People rest deeply, then rise softly, without alarm or confusion. This pause in the middle of the night is not named, because it does not need to be. It is simply part of how the body moves through darkness. The mind wakes calmly as if to stretch its limbs before settling again. In the stone room, the noble stirs beneath heavy linens. The body remembers the weight of the day meetings, expectations, quiet formalities, and now lets them loosen. There is no urgency to return to sleep, because there is no rule demanding it. In the small home, a farmer's eyes open slowly. The room is dim, but familiar enough that nothing feels strange. This waking is not sharp. It is more like drifting to the surface of water and floating there for a moment. Across centuries, people understood something that has largely been forgotten. Waking in the night was not a sign of restlessness or failure. It was simply a space between two rests, a gentle interval that belonged to no one and everyone at once. During these quiet hours, thoughts moved differently. They were slower, heavier, less demanding. Without bright light or constant stimulation, the mind softened to a state that felt neither fully awake nor fully asleep. If you have ever woken in the night and felt your thoughts grow strangely calm and expansive, you have touched this same ancient rhythm. The mind, when freed from urgency, begins to wander in kinder ways. In the stone room, the noble may sit up slightly, careful not to disturb the stillness. The candle's flame trembles, then steadies, casting warm light across old stone. There is time now, time that belongs only to the night. In the earthen home, someone adjusts their position on the straw bed. The body finds a familiar hollow, shaped by countless previous nights. Comfort here is not luxury, but repetition, and repetition has its own quiet power. People might pray softly during these hours, or simply think. Some might recall the day that has passed, not with judgment, but with acceptance. Others might let their minds drift toward memories that feel safe enough to revisit. There is no pressure to be productive, no sense that something is being wasted. The night does not demand efficiency. It offers presence. History rarely records these moments. Documents speak of wars, laws, and kings, but they rarely mention the millions of people who lay awake under dark skies, breathing slowly and existing without spectacle. And yet, these moments shaped human life just as deeply as any event. They were the spaces where people made peace with themselves, where worries softened and hopes rested without needing to be named. In the stone room, the noble's thoughts drift to family, lineage, obligations yet unmet. But even these thoughts feel distant now, wrapped in the gentleness of half-sleep. The night cushions them, dulling their edges. In the earthen home, thoughts are simpler, but no less meaningful. There is concern for crops, for weather, for the quiet hope that tomorrow will be enough. These thoughts, too, are held gently by the darkness. Across both lives, the body remains the same. The slow rise and fall of the chest. The warmth gathering beneath blankets. The subtle release of muscles that no longer need to hold the day together. Time behaves differently here. Minutes stretch without becoming heavy. There is no clock ticking loudly, counting down something that must be done. The night is wide, and it allows wandering. If you are listening now and feel your own mind drifting, that is not distraction. That is alignment. This story is not meant to be followed closely, but floated within. Sometimes people in this age would rise quietly during this pause. They might tend the fire, step outside, or simply sit in silence. The world at this hour belonged to no one else. Outside, the village rests. Paths lie empty, roofs dark. The church bell, silent now, has nothing left to mark. The sky above holds steady, ancient, and unchanging. Stars shine without urgency. They have seen countless nights like this one. Countless bodies waking, resting, breathing, and letting go. This middle space of the night was once understood as natural. It did not carry anxiety. It did not need to be explained away. It was simply another phase of rest. Modern minds often struggle with this idea because they have been taught that sleep must be efficient, continuous, controlled. But history whispers a softer truth. Rest does not have one shape. As the noble lies back down, the candle now little more than a memory of light, the body drifts again. Sleep returns not as a command, but as an invitation. In the earthen home, the farmer's breathing deepens. The night resumes its gentle hold. Nothing has been lost by waking, and nothing needs to be gained. If you find yourself awake in the quiet hours, there is nothing wrong with you. You are touching a rhythm that humans followed for thousands of years before the world learned to rush. Allow your thoughts to slow. Let them wander without destination. There is nowhere you need to arrive. Soon sleep will return, the way it always has, softly, patiently, and without force. For now, remain here, in this gentle in-between. The night is still holding you. The middle of the night holds a quality that is difficult to describe, but easy to feel. It is softer than evening and lighter than morning, a space where the world seems to breathe more slowly. In this quiet interval, nothing presses forward, and nothing pulls back. In the stone room, the air has cooled just slightly. The thick walls keep the cold at bay, releasing warmth at their own unhurried pace, as if they remember every night they have ever sheltered a resting body. In the earthen home, the fire has nearly faded. What remains is not flame, but presence, a low, steady heat that asks for no attention and gives no surprise. During these hours, people often drift in and out of sleep without noticing where one state ends and the other begins. Dreams come gently, then loosen their hold, leaving behind a feeling rather than an image. This was once understood as the night's natural rhythm. Sleep was not a single door to be shut, but a series of rooms to pass through quietly. Each one offered rest in a different form. In the stone room, the noble's mind drifts toward memory without effort. Scenes from childhood surface briefly, softened by time, then dissolve without asking to be held. In the small home, memories move differently. They arrive as sensations rather than stories, the feeling of summer sun on skin, the sound of grain moving in the wind, the comfort of familiar routines. Neither mind tries to organize these thoughts. There is no need to understand them. They rise and fall like breath, complete in themselves. People in this age did not demand clarity from the night. They trusted it to carry thoughts where they needed to go, even if that place was nowhere at all. If you are listening now and find your attention drifting, this is not something to resist. This gentle wandering is part of the story's design, just as it was part of the night long ago. The village outside remains still. Roofs sit quietly beneath the stars, and paths lie empty, waiting for morning without anticipation. The world is content to pause. There are no sudden sounds here, no sharp interruptions. Even animals move carefully in the dark, as if aware that this time belongs to rest. In the stone room, the noble shifts slightly, settling deeper into the bed. Muscles release their last small tensions, and the body begins to feel heavier, as though gravity itself has grown kinder. In the earthen home, breathing becomes slower and more even. The rise and fall of the chest finds a rhythm that does not need to be measured. These hours were once considered useful in their own quiet way. Not for work or productivity, but for processing the day without pressure. People might think of conversations they had not to judge them, but simply to let them settle. Words lose their sharpness in the dark, becoming softer echoes rather than obligations. The night offers a rare kind of honesty. Without an audience, thoughts no longer need to perform. They can exist as they are, unfinished and unpolished. If worries appear, they do so more gently here. They do not demand immediate solutions. They sit quietly, waiting for morning, content to rest for now. In the stone room, the noble's thoughts turn briefly toward responsibilities yet to come. But even these feel distant, wrapped in the understanding that nothing can be done at this hour. In the small home, thoughts of weather and harvest drift through the mind. They are familiar concerns, carried nightly, and they settle into the background like the sound of wind outside. Across both lives, there is a shared acceptance. The night is not the time for answers. It is the time for being. History often forgets this side of human life. It records what happened during the day, when actions were visible and decisions were made. But much of what shaped people happened here, in the unseen hours. In the quiet moments when the body rested and the mind wandered without direction. These were the hours when resilience formed, not through effort, but through release. When people allowed themselves to simply exist, without needing to improve or explain. If you find yourself awake now, perhaps with thoughts moving slowly and gently, know that you are participating in something ancient. You are not behind or broken. You are aligned with a rhythm that once guided entire generations. The night does not judge wakefulness. It holds it. In the stone room, the candle has finally gone out. Darkness settles fully, but it is not complete absence. It is a softer kind of presence. In the earthen home, the embers dim further, their glow fading into memory. The warmth remains quiet and reassuring. Sleep begins to return not all at once, but in layers. The mind loosens first, releasing its grip on images and ideas. The body follows, sinking into stillness. This return to sleep is not forced. It is welcomed. Like slipping back in the water that is already warm. People in this time trusted sleep to come back on its own. They did not chase it. They allowed it. If you feel yourself drifting now, let that happen. You do not need to hold on to every word. The story will continue whether you follow it closely or not. Outside, the sky remains unchanged. Stars hold their positions, steady and patient. They have seen countless nights like this one, and they will see countless more. The world is not moving forward right now. It is resting. In the space between one sleep and the next, something quiet unfolds. A subtle recalibration. A gentle healing that requires no attention. By the time sleep fully returns, nothing dramatic has happened, and yet something has shifted. The body is calmer. The mind is softer. The night has done its work without announcing it. As the noble drifts into deeper rest, the stone room holds steady. As the farmer sinks into sleep again, the earth beneath offers quiet support. Both lives continue, carried gently toward morning. And for now, the night remains wide and welcoming, asking only that you stay as long as you need. As the night carries on, time feels different than it does during the day. It stretches and softens, no longer divided into small, demanding pieces. In this older world, time is not something people chase. It is something they live inside. Life here is measured not by clocks, but by seasons. Days unfold according to light and dark, warmth and cold, growth and rest. The body learns this rhythm early and remembers it well. In the stone room, the noble's life follows the same pattern year after year. Spring brings preparation, summer brings presence, autumn brings accounting, and winter brings reflection. Even sleep feels shaped by this cycle, deeper and longer when the nights are cold and long. In the earthen home, the seasons are felt even more closely. The earth beneath the feet changes with the weather, firm in summer, heavy in rain, cold and still in winter. The body adapts without question, guided by repetition rather than instruction. This way of living creates a quiet predictability. There is comfort in knowing what comes next, even if it is difficult. Uncertainty exists, but it moves slowly, allowing the mind time to adjust. At night, these seasonal rhythms settle into the body. Sleep grows heavier in winter, lighter in summer. Waking in the dark feels natural when nights stretch wide, and less so when daylight returns quickly. People did not expect their bodies to behave the same way every night. They understood that rest changed with the year, just as everything else did. Variation was not a flaw. It was a feature of being alive. In the stone room, thick blankets gather warmth carefully stored during the day. The noble's breathing falls into a steady pace, shaped by countless similar nights. Nothing about this rest is new, and that is precisely why it works. In the earthen home, straw bedding adjusts under weight and warmth. The ground beneath holds the cold, but the body above it is protected by layers of habit and familiarity. The absence of artificial light allows the night to fully arrive. Darkness is complete but not oppressive. It encourages the body to let go, signaling that it is safe to slow down. Without bright light to interrupt them, thoughts become quieter. They lose their sharp edges and begin to blur together, forming a soft background hum rather than distinct demands. If you are listening now and feel your awareness fading in and out, this is not something to correct. It is the natural response to a story that moves at the pace of the night. In this time, people did not push against fatigue. They followed it. When the body asked for rest, it was given rest. When it stirred, it was allowed to stir. This gentle cooperation with the body created a kind of trust. Sleep was not something to be controlled, but something to be shared between the person and the night. In the stone room, the noble's dreams are quiet and slow. They do not rush from one image to another. They linger, then dissolve, leaving behind a feeling of warmth or familiarity. In the earthen home, dreams are often simple. They follow the shapes of daily life, repeating known paths and routines. These dreams comfort rather than excite. Across both lives, there is a shared understanding: rest is not earned. It is necessary, and the night provides it without judgment. History often frames the past as harsh and unforgiving. Yet here, in the rhythm of seasons and sleep, there is a deep gentleness. Life moves slowly enough to allow recovery. This pace gives people room to be imperfect. A missed task can wait until morning. A worry can rest until daylight offers clarity. If you carry pressure from your own day, imagine setting it down here. Let it rest beside these older lives, where urgency has not yet learned to speak loudly. Outside, the land itself seems to sleep. Fields lie still beneath the sky. Trees hold their branches quietly, conserving energy for the seasons ahead. Winter especially teaches patience. It does not rush toward spring. It folds inward, content to remain as it is for as long as it needs. People once understood this instinctively. They rested more in winter, spoke less, moved slower. The body was allowed to mirror the world around it. In the stone room, the cold night presses gently against thick walls, unable to enter fully. Inside, warmth and stillness prevail. In the earthen home, cold is felt more directly, but it is expected. It becomes part of the environment rather than an enemy to fight. Sleep deepens again, slowly and naturally. There is no moment when it arrives completely. It simply gathers, layer by layer, until wakefulness fades. If you feel yourself drifting now, let that happen. You are following a pattern older than memory, one that does not need effort to succeed. The night continues, steady and unremarkable in the best possible way. Nothing demands your attention. Nothing pulls you forward. Measured by seasons, not by hours, this world allows rest to be what it was always meant to be. And as sleep settles more fully, the story moves with it, unhurried and kind. As the night settles deeper, belief begins to move quietly through the mind. Not belief as certainty or doctrine, but belief as comfort, something soft to lean on when the world grows indistinct. In this older time, people did not expect the night to explain itself. Darkness was accepted as part of life, and with it came small stories. Quiet assurances passed gently from one generation to the next. In the stone room, symbols rest unnoticed in the shadows. A carved figure near the bed, a familiar shape worn smooth by touch, offers reassurance without demanding thought. It has been there through many nights, and that continuity is enough. In the earthen home, belief lives less in objects and more in habits. A certain way of arranging bedding. A familiar phrase murmured softly. These small acts create a sense of order in a world that cannot always be controlled. People believed not because they needed proof, but because belief made the night feel less vast. It offered the mind a place to rest, much like the body rests against a familiar surface. During the quiet hours between sleeps, these beliefs surfaced gently. They did not argue or persuade. They simply existed like background music too soft to distract. Some believed the night itself was alive, listening quietly but never interfering. Others imagined that ancestors lingered nearby, not as watchers, but as companions sharing the same darkness. These ideas were not examined closely. They were not debated. They were allowed to remain soft and undefined, which is often how comfort works best. In the stone room, the noble's thoughts drift toward a familiar sense of protection. It is not dramatic or vivid, just a feeling that the space is held. The thick walls feel older than worry. In the earthen home, comfort comes from the presence of others nearby. Even in sleep, there is awareness of shared warmth and breathing. Belief here is communal, woven into proximity. History tends to record beliefs as systems and structures. But lived belief was quieter. It was a feeling carried into the night, not a rule enforced during the day. People did not need belief to be true in a measurable way. They needed it to be calming. And calm, in the dark, was more valuable than certainty. If you have ever held on to a small thought or image at night because it made you feel safer, you understand this instinct. The mind seeks softness when clarity is out of reach. The night allows belief to loosen its shape. It does not require definitions. It welcomes impressions, half-formed ideas, and gentle assumptions. In the stone room, a draft moves faintly across the floor. The noble does not stir. The body remains relaxed, trusting the space it has known for years. In the earthen home, a quiet sound outside a distant movement perhaps passes without concern. Familiarity turns unknown noises into background texture rather than alarm. Belief fills the gaps where knowledge cannot reach. It smooths the edges of uncertainty, allowing sleep to return without resistance. People once understood that the mind needs reassurance more than answers at night. The darkness is not the time for solving problems. It is the time for feeling held. This understanding shaped the way nights were lived. Waking was not feared. Strange thoughts were not resisted. Everything was allowed to pass through gently. If you notice your own thoughts becoming less defined now, this is not a loss of focus. It is a natural response to safety. The mind is beginning to rest. Outside, the village remains still. No lights appear. No voices break the quiet. The world seems content to remain exactly as it is. Beliefs settle alongside sleep, not interrupting it, but supporting it. They fade as rest deepens, leaving behind a sense of ease rather than explanation. In the stone room, the noble's breathing deepens further. Thought dissolves into sensation, then into stillness. Whatever belief was present slips quietly into the background. In the earthen home, warmth gathers beneath layers. The night feels complete, without loose ends. Nothing needs to be watched or guarded. Belief has done its work for now. It has softened the mind enough for sleep to take over again. If you are listening and feel yourself drifting, let that happen. You do not need to hold on to the story. It will carry on without effort. The night continues its gentle holding, unchanged and dependable. And within it, rest deepens naturally. As the night moves onward, the body follows its own quiet logic. It wakes and rests without asking permission, guided by rhythms far older than habit or expectation. In this time long ago, no one questioned that wisdom. Waking in the night was not a disturbance. It was a simple shift, like turning over in sleep or adjusting a blanket. The body signaled and the person listened without concern. In the stone room, the noble's eyes opened briefly. There is no rush of thought, no tightening of the chest. The darkness feels familiar, like a room remembered even with the lights out. In the earthen home, someone stirs and changes position. The movement is small and instinctive, carried out without fully leaving sleep. The body knows what it needs, and that knowledge is trusted. People once understood the body as a companion rather than a problem to be solved. Its signals were not interruptions, but messages delivered gently. Rest included listening as much as it included stillness. During these hours, the body often found a comfortable balance between warmth and coolness. A blanket adjusted, a limb moved. These small acts brought comfort without fully waking the mind. There was no sense that something had gone wrong. No counting of hours, no measuring of success or failure. Sleep was allowed to be flexible, shaped by the night rather than controlled by it. If you have ever woken in the dark and felt concern arise, imagine how different it would feel without that worry. In this older world, wakefulness carried no judgment. The body was simply doing what bodies have always done. It was maintaining itself, recalibrating quietly, preparing for rest to return in its own time. In the stone room, breathing slows again after a brief adjustment. Muscles settle into the bed's familiar shape. The body's weight feels heavier now, more grounded. In the earthen home, warmth builds gently where bodies rest close together. The sense of safety deepens, carried not by thought, but by proximity and repetition. The night does not demand continuous unconsciousness. It allows movement between states, trusting that balance will restore itself naturally. Modern minds often resist this movement. They interpret waking as a failure, a break in something that should remain unbroken. But history tells a different story. For centuries, waking in the night was expected. It was part of the body's design, not a flaw in it. People rested deeply before and after, and the space between belonged to the night. If you are awake now, listening, perhaps feeling that familiar mixture of heaviness and awareness. There is nothing you need to fix. This state is not wrong. Your body may simply be passing through one of its quieter checkpoints, a place to pause before sinking again. In this time, people often remained still during these moments. They did not reach for distraction. There was nothing to check, nothing to consume. Stillness itself was enough. Thoughts moved slowly, if they moved at all. Sensations took their place. The feel of fabric, the warmth of breath, the subtle sound of night outside. In the stone room, the noble notices the weight of the blanket, the firmness of the bed beneath. These sensations anchor the body gently, drawing attention away from thought. In the earthen home, the ground's presence is constant. It does not shift or surprise. It holds steady, reminding the body that it is supported. This physical reassurance makes it easier to let go. The body relaxes when it feels held, whether by walls, earth, or familiar surroundings. Sleep returns most easily when it is not summoned. It arrives when the body feels safe enough to release awareness. People once understood this instinctively. They did not try to force rest. They allowed it to happen around them, the way weather changes without instruction. If your own body feels heavy now, that is a sign of readiness. If it feels light and drifting, that too is acceptable. Both are paths toward rest. The night does not prefer one over the other. It accommodates all states quietly. In the stone room, awareness fades again. Thought dissolves into sensation, then into absence. The body resumes its deeper rest without ceremony. In the earthen home, breathing grows slower, almost imperceptible. The night wraps itself around the resting forms, patient and unassuming. These transitions happen without announcement. There is no clear line where wakefulness ends and sleep begins. The shift is gradual, like dimming light. If you notice your thoughts becoming less distinct now, allow that softness. You do not need to hold on to clarity here. The body remembers how to sleep. It has done so across countless nights, across generations, without instruction. As the night continues, rest deepens again, guided by instincts older than language. In the quiet knowledge of this older world, sleep was never expected to be a single, unbroken descent. It was understood instead as a gentle sequence, unfolding in two movements that complemented one another naturally. The first sleep came easily after dusk. It was deep and grounding, pulling the body firmly away from the day and into rest. Muscles loosened, breath slowed, and the weight of waking life faded without resistance. In the stone room, this first sleep had already passed. The noble's body rested heavily, supported by familiar surroundings and the certainty that nothing was required during these hours. In the earthen home, the first sleep had been just as complete. The day's physical labor gave way to a deep, steady rest that settled into the bones and lingered long enough to restore strength. Between these two rests lay a quiet interval. It was not a problem to be solved, nor a gap to be filled. It was simply part of the night's design. People did not name this space with urgency. It belonged to the dark as naturally as sleep itself. Waking during this time carried no alarm, only awareness. During this interval, the mind existed in a softened state. Thoughts came slowly, if they came at all. The boundary between dream and waking remained thin, allowing both to blend gently. In the stone room, the noble might remain still, eyes open but unfocused. The darkness held steady, offering no new information and asking no response. In the earthen home, someone might adjust their position, sensing the coolness of the air or the warmth nearby. The body responded quietly, then rested again. This pause was once seen as useful in its own quiet way, not for action, but for digestion of the day, emotional, physical, and mental. The mind used this space to release what it no longer needed to carry. Worries softened, thoughts untangled. Nothing was rushed. If you have ever woken in the night feeling strangely calm and reflective, you have stepped into this same interval. It is a place where the mind feels slower, thicker, more forgiving. This state is neither fully conscious nor fully asleep. It is a gentle suspension, like floating in still water without needing to swim. People trusted this process. They did not interrupt it with stimulation. There was nothing to scroll, nothing to check. The night itself was enough. In the stone room, the noble's awareness drifts without direction. There is no need to decide when to sleep again. The body will signal when it is ready. In the earthen home, breathing remains slow and even. The body lies quietly, resting in the certainty that sleep will return on its own. Eventually, the second sleep arrives. It does not announce itself. It simply begins deeper and often richer than the first. This second sleep carries the body closer to morning. Dreams, if they appear, are softer and less fragmented. The mind sinks further away from surface awareness. In the stone room, the noble's breathing deepens once more. Awareness fades completely, leaving only the steady rhythm of rest. In the earthen home, the body settles fully, returning to sleep without resistance. The night completes its gentle arc. This pattern repeated itself night after night, season after season. It required no effort and caused no concern. It was simply how human beings rested. Understanding this rhythm can be deeply reassuring. It reminds us that waking in the night is not a malfunction, but a memory of something older. If you find yourself awake now, perhaps hovering between listening and drifting, there is nothing to correct. You are exactly where the night allows you to be. The first sleep may have already done its work. The second will arrive when it is ready. Allow your body to follow its own timing. There is no deadline, no standard to meet. Rest is not measured here. The night stretches on, patient and unchanged. It holds this space without pressure, trusting the body to move through it naturally. As awareness softens again, the second sleep begins to gather quietly. Thoughts fade, sensations blur. The boundary between listening and resting dissolves. You do not need to notice the moment it happens. Sleep returns most gently when it is not observed. And so the night continues, completing its cycle just as it has for countless generations before. As the night progresses, the mind begins to change its texture. Thoughts no longer move sharply from one idea to the next, but soften, thickening into something slower and gentler. It feels as though thinking itself has grown heavier, drifting rather than leaping. In this older world, people did not resist this shift. They allowed their minds to slow naturally, trusting that clarity was not required at this hour. The night was not for solving, but for settling. In the stone room, awareness floats without direction. The noble does not actively think of anything, yet faint impressions still pass through shapes, tones, fragments of memory that never fully form. In the earthen home, the mind moves even more quietly. Sensations replace ideas, and comfort replaces curiosity. The warmth of bodies nearby, the faint scent of wood, the steady rhythm of breath become the only anchors. This state is not sleep, but it leans gently toward it. It is a place where effort dissolves and attention loosens its grip. The mind becomes receptive rather than active. Modern language struggles to describe this condition. It is neither focused nor distracted, neither awake nor asleep. It is simply slow, thick, and calm. People once encountered this state regularly, especially during the long nights of winter. It arrived without invitation and left without announcement. No one tried to name it. They simply lived inside it. In the stone room, the noble's body sinks deeper into the bed. Muscles soften further, and the sense of physical boundaries begins to blur. The bed, the body, and the room feel less separate. In the earthen home, the body seems to melt into its surroundings. The ground no longer feels firm or cold, but neutral and supportive. Sensation fades at the edges. Thoughts, if they appear at all, arrive slowly. They do not demand attention or reaction. They drift through the mind like clouds passing through a night sky. If you are listening now and feel your thoughts slowing, perhaps becoming less distinct, this is not something to resist. This softness is a sign that rest is deepening. In this state, time becomes difficult to measure. Moments stretch without feeling long. Awareness no longer tracks progression. It simply exists. People in the past often lingered here without noticing. They did not wonder how long they had been awake or asleep. The question itself did not arise. The mind, relieved of its usual responsibilities, begins to release tension stored throughout the day. Concerns lose their urgency. Even personal identity feels less defined. In the stone room, titles and obligations fade completely. There is no noble here, only a resting body breathing quietly in the dark. In the earthen home, roles dissolve as well. There is no farmer, no caretaker. There is only presence, warm and still. This dissolution is not frightening. It is comforting. Without labels or expectations, the mind rests more deeply. The night supports this process by offering very little stimulation. No light shifts dramatically. No sounds demand interpretation. The environment remains steady and predictable. This steadiness allows the mind to let go. It does not need to monitor or respond. It can drift freely, carried by the rhythm of breath. If worries surface briefly, they do so without force. They appear softened, as if seen through water, then drift away before taking shape. People once trusted this process completely. They did not interrupt it with activity or distraction. They allowed the night to do its quiet work. In the stone room, breathing becomes slower still. The pause between breaths lengthens, unmeasured and uncounted. In the earthen home, the same rhythm unfolds. Breath moves gently in and out, barely noticeable, steady as the earth itself. This slowing is not intentional. It happens naturally when the body feels safe. The nervous system unwinds without instruction. If you feel yourself hovering here, half aware and half drifting, know that you are exactly where the night intends you to be. Nothing more is required. The mind now resembles thick syrup, moving slowly and smoothly. Thoughts, if they appear, slide past one another without friction. Language begins to lose its hold. Words become less important than sensations. Meaning softens into feeling. In this state, it becomes easy to let go of the story itself. You may hear the voice without processing each sentence. That is enough. The night does not ask for comprehension. It offers companionship, then gradually steps back. In the stone room, sleep deepens without being noticed. The mind releases its last threads of awareness. In the earthen home, the same surrender unfolds. Rest settles fully, quiet, and complete. This transition does not have a clear boundary. There is no moment when one can say it happened. It simply unfolds, like dusk becoming night. If you drift into sleep here, the story will continue without you. That is as it should be. The night remains wide and patient, holding every resting body without distinction. And in this softened state, where thoughts slow and sensations fade, rest becomes deep and natural. The night is now well into its quietest hours. This is the time when even the idea of time itself begins to soften, losing its edges and its insistence. The world feels less like a sequence of moments and more like a single continuous hush. In this older age, people did not think of night as something to pass through quickly. It was a place to dwell, a long pause where life folded inward and rested from becoming. In the stone room, the air feels still and complete. Nothing stirs unnecessarily, and nothing waits to happen. The walls, the bed, and the sleeping body exist together without separation. In the earthen home, the same sense of completion settles in. The night feels full, not empty, as though everything that needs to be present already is. During these deepest hours, memory changes its shape. It no longer arrives as clear scenes or narratives. Instead, it appears as warmth, familiarity, and quiet emotion. People once experienced memory not as something to analyze, but as something to feel briefly and then release. The night allowed this without effort. In the stone room, a feeling from long ago passes through the sleeping mind. It has no image attached to it, only a sense of comfort and recognition. It fades without needing explanation. In the earthen home, memory arrives as a bodily sensation rather than a thought. A sense of belonging, of having endured many similar nights, settles quietly and then dissolves. These moments do not demand attention. They are gentle visitors, passing through the mind as sleep deepens rather than interrupting it. Time, too, behaves differently now. It does not move forward so much as it rests in place. There is no anticipation of morning, no counting of what remains. People once trusted this part of the night to do something important, even if they could not name it. They believed rest itself was a kind of quiet repair. The body, deeply relaxed, releases tension stored not only from the day but from longer stretches of living. Muscles soften further. Breathing becomes almost imperceptible. In the stone room, the noble's body lies completely at ease. Whatever weight was carried into the night has been set down, at least for now. In the earthen home, the same release unfolds. The body no longer holds itself upright against the world. It rests fully, supported by familiar ground. This is the hour when healing happens without effort. Not dramatic healing, but the slow, steady kind that comes from being allowed to rest deeply and without interruption. People did not talk about this healing. They did not measure it or track it. They simply trusted that the night knew what to do. If you are listening now and feel yourself slipping away from the story, that is a sign of success. The story is meant to accompany you only as long as you need it. Thoughts now appear only as faint impressions, if at all. Language fades first, followed by images. What remains is sensation and stillness. In this state, there is no need to hold on to identity. Roles, names, and responsibilities have already dissolved. The night does not require them. In the stone room, There is no noble and no servant. There is only a sleeping human being, breathing quietly in the dark. In the earthen home, there is no worker and no caretaker. There is only rest, shared with the night itself. History rarely acknowledges this side of human life. It focuses on action and consequence, on what was done and decided. But much of life's meaning was formed here, in these quiet hours when nothing was demanded and everything was allowed to settle. The night offers forgiveness without being asked. It allows unfinished thoughts to remain unfinished. It does not insist on closure. If worries still linger faintly at the edges of your awareness, imagine setting them down gently. They do not need to be carried further tonight. The world outside remains unchanged. The sky holds steady. The land rests beneath it. Nothing moves quickly, and nothing needs to. As sleep deepens further, even awareness of rest begins to fade. The body and mind enter a state beyond observation. In the stone room, the rhythm of breath continues on its own, unmonitored and uncounted. The night holds it effortlessly. In the earthen home, the same rhythm unfolds. The body sleeps as it has slept countless times before, trusting the darkness completely. This is the deepest part of the night. That is expected. Meaning has done its work. If worries still linger faintly at the edges of your awareness, imagine setting them down gently. They do not need to be carried further tonight. If you are still listening, you may notice that the words no longer form a clear sequence. That is expected. Meaning has done its work. The night does not need to be understood to be effective. It only needs to be experienced. As rest settles fully, the story slows with it, preparing to release its hold. Nothing more is required. The night has nearly completed its quiet work. Not by reaching an ending, but by loosening its hold so gently that the release almost goes unnoticed. This is how it has always been: nothing abrupt, nothing announced. In this final stretch before morning, the world remains deeply still. Not empty, but settled, as though everything has found its place and sees no reason to move. In the stone room, the darkness is complete. The walls, the bed, and the resting body exist without distinction. There is no sense of time passing, only the steady continuation of breath. In the earthen home, the night feels just as full. Warmth lingers where bodies rest, and the ground beneath offers quiet support. Nothing shifts unless it needs to. This is the hour when the night begins to give back what it borrowed. Energy returns slowly, invisibly. The body prepares for morning without waking the mind. People once trusted this moment deeply. They did not wait for it or watch for it. They slept through it, knowing that rest did not need supervision. Memory now is barely present. What remains is not recollection, but reassurance, a sense that everything is, for the moment, enough. In the stone room, there is no awareness of yesterday or tomorrow. The mind has released its grip on narrative. There is only rest, wide and unbroken. In the earthen home, the same quiet completion settles in. The night has done what it came to do, and it leaves no trace of effort behind. This is where stories end best, not with answers, but with ease. Not by concluding every thought, but by allowing thought itself to dissolve. If you are listening now and find that the words drift past without forming meaning, that is exactly as intended. You have arrived at the place where listening is no longer necessary. The night does not insist that you remember it. It only asks that you rest within it. Across centuries, across lives lived very differently on the surface, human beings have always arrived here together. In this shared quiet, distinctions fall away. There is no noble and no farmer here. No past and no future. Only the simple, steady fact of being alive and allowed to rest. The world outside remains unchanged. The sky holds its stars. The land waits for light. Nothing rushes to meet the day. In time, morning will come. It always does, but it does not need to be anticipated. For now, the night remains kind and complete. If tonight's story reminded you of a beautiful memory, feel free to share it below, whenever you are awake enough to do so. There is no hurry here. When was the last time you looked up at the night sky and felt at peace? Here, no one rests alone. Every story is a soft lantern in the dark, lit not to guide the way forward, but to make stillness feel safe. If this story brought you calm, leave a gentle comment for yourself. A small note, a quiet presence, something that belongs only to this moment. And if you would like more peaceful nighttime journeys, don't forget to subscribe to TDU's History for Sleep. This quiet corner will always be here, waiting patiently, just as the night does. Now there is nothing left to follow. The story releases you the way the night always has, without sound, without demand, without expectation. Rest is already happening.